Aloha and welcome to Action Island. I am Gilles Gallant and I am joined by some of the best NFL player prop experts in the business. I got Nick Giffen, Derek Carty, and Kyle Murray joining me today because we are going to wrap up week 6 in the NFL. We've got another Monday Night Football doubleheader featuring the Buffalo Bills versus the Atlanta Falcons and the Chicago Bears facing the Washington Commanders. This is actually the third and Monday Night Football doubleheader of the season, with the last one being next Monday. So here's what we're going to do. The four of us, we're going to give our two favorite bets for either game, and then we're going to take a vote on those picks to decide which parlay leg will stay and which goes. By the end of the show, we should either have a two-game parlay or I don't know, maybe a four-leg same-game parlay. Who even knows? Let's see how the bets go. But what I do know is all of these picks, as we give them out, we're going to be dropping links in the YouTube chat. That'll help you get those bets quickly, so because some of these lines, they're going to move. We want to make sure you get the best price, best number. So use those links and you can make those bets directly with the sportsbook. So Kyle, you're up first. What is your two bets that you like for Monday Night Football?
Yeah, I figured in honor of the doubleheader, I would bring the two sexiest picks I could find, starting off with Luke McCaffrey under 29.5 receiving yards. I know, super exciting to back a third or fourth string receiver and an under, but we're taking the under on 29.5 yards. Number feels a bit inflated to me here because of the fact that McCaffrey's had 43 plus receiving reception plays in two of the last three games, resulting in two of those three games popping for over 50 yards. But when you look at the rest of what he's kind of put on paper so far this season, just not a lot of volume, just nine targets in on the season so far, seven catches on the year. And even last week with no Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown, which will be the same situation tonight, saw just two targets while running just 14 routes. Fifth in routes ran on Washington in week five, fourth amongst receivers. So the volume, the role is just not all that prominent for Luke McCaffrey in this current version of the Washington offense. I do expect them to be able to be fairly run heavy as well. 5.5 point favorites here at home against the Bears defense that is allowing the most yards per carry as well. So I think it's just a spot where game script wise, the Commanders should be able to establish a run and run the ball effectively. And just in terms of volume in this receiving room, I don't expect McCaffrey to be a guy who can be on the field consistently, and he's not really a target dominator as well. So I'm liking the under on the yards for McCaffrey tonight.
Yeah, it's been an interesting season for Luke McCaffrey, the usage and how he's been used with either Terry McLaurin in or out of the lineup. But we're looking at under 29.5 receiving yards in this game facing the Chicago Bears secondary. So that's the first pick from Kyle Murray. What is the second bet that you like?
Yeah, we're going to another kind of niche receiver here. Ray McLeod over 18.5 receiving yards. Like this spot quite a bit for McLeod with Darnell Mooney ruled out for this game. We saw week one, no Darnell Mooney, and McLeod went for 51 yards on five targets. You can also look back to the week 18 performance last year with Michael Penix under center and Darnell Mooney out, when McLeod went for four catches, 66 yards on seven targets. So we've seen two pretty recent games with no Darnell Mooney and Michael Penix under center. So, not necessarily a huge sample, but at least it's fairly recent. With McLeod not only seeing an uptick in terms of targets, but also playing time. I will say I don't think we can automatically assume he's going to get this massive boost in terms of snaps. I think Casey Washington's going to step in playing time wise for Mooney, but in terms of competition of targets, definitely a softer competition of targets for McLeod. And so I think he can earn a few more targets in this spot. And also, when you're looking at it, the books are actually favoring him pretty significantly to have more than one catch in this game based on their prop markets. But despite that, just an 18.5 yard prop. But McLeod averaging over 10.5 yards per reception dating back to the start of last year. So if we're going to get him for two grabs here, I like his chances to go over 18.5 receiving yards. We project him for 27.5 yards in our model at Roto Grinders.
Yeah, good catch to cross-reference some of those markets, especially given the average depth of target that he's kind of seeing in this offense. And yeah, what a discrepancy too to have a 27.5 yard projection where the line is 18.5. So a nice little edge spot there. So Nick, Derek, we got to take a vote. Are we going to take Ray McLeod to go over 18.5 receiving yards, or are we going to fade LMC Luke McCaffrey to take under 29.5 receiving yards? So let's take a vote. All right, Nick, Cardi, which way do we go? I went with the Ray. What did you guys do? See LMC, Ray. Okay. We are going to take Ray McLeod over Luke McCaffrey. That will be the first leg of the same game parlay. So Ray McLeod over 18.5 receiving yards. I'm seeing that out there right now. Now, Derek, before we get into your picks, what were you thinking with Luke McCaffrey over Ray in this spot?
I like both of them, honestly, and I know that my projection system agrees with both of these that Kyle likes. But it liked the McCaffrey one a little bit more. I think Kyle's spot on about the role, even with McLaurin and Noah Brown being out. Like he's still not a top option here. If he doesn't catch a deep ball, I think he's going to have a little bit of trouble getting over this just based on pure volume.
For sure, yeah, and like you said, like there could be some weather issues as well that might even impact that too. So, okay, so you are the creator of the Blitz projections, NFL projections at EV Analytics, and you've got two bets that you like tonight. So, what is the first bet you like?
First bet I like is Bill Krosky Merritt under 15 and a half rushing attempts, minus 116 at bet 365 is the best line on the board right now. But pretty much all of his under markets are projecting really well in the blitz. In terms of the carries, he's projecting for fewer than 12. So we have a pretty big gap here between the line and the projection. I think the hype just exceeds the reality with this guy. Like he's exciting, he's a rookie, he came out of nowhere, he got all this preseason hype, he's finally, stepping into this role. Um, but 15 and a half carries is a lot. That's like a real workhorse in like a legitimate workhorse role. And I just don't think that he actually has that role. Like he's never gone over 15 and a half carries before. Obviously, small sample. But even last week, they won the game by more than two touchdowns, and he only got 14 carries. So I don't see a mean scenario where he's getting 16, especially in this offense where you have to break off designed runs right off the bat for Jaden Daniels and Debo Samuel. Right away, that's probably 30% of the carries that are just gone, that are not available to JCM here. Then you have Chris Rodriguez, you have Jeremy McNichols, also going to pick up a couple of carries probably. You're probably looking at, 50% of the carries that are left for him. It's a pass heavy offense to begin with. It is a run heavy script, but this is a team that wants to throw the ball. And I just don't see the volume being there for JCM here.
For sure. And with Daniels getting healthier by the week too, that the scrambling opportunities might even increase even more, which could limit the upside for Bill in his rushing attempts. So that is the first pick you like, Derek. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt or Bill JCM under 15 and a half carries. What is the second bet that you like?
I'm staying with the same game, same backfield. Jeremy McNichols under 11 and a half receiving yards, minus 111 is the best odds on the board right now at bet 365. The Blitz is projecting a 68% chance that he goes under this number. I look at the game logs and I'm like, okay, he had a 12-yard reception last week. Maybe that's why the line is set here where it is, because 12 yards is definitely not his mean. On average, you have to think for a running back, it's going to take two, if not three receptions to get over this number. And he's had more than one reception only twice in the last 3 years. He's had a larger role without Austin Eckler in the mix, but it's still just a 3% target share. And this isn't the kind of game script where we would expect him to be on the field where the Commanders are trailing and he's kind of, they're passing down back and he's in there in catch up mode. And, we talked about it a few times. Kyle talked about it. They're the favorites here. This doesn't really set up as a McNichols receiving kind of game. And so I like the under here.
For sure. And both of your projections for these are showing pretty massive edges. I mean, with the fact that 15 and a half carries showing probably like closer to like around just under 12, even McNichols right now, 68% chance of under. So both of these props showing a big edge from your blitz projections. So Nick, Kyle, we got to take a vote. Are we going to take Bill under 15 and a half carries? Or are we going to take his running partner, Jeremy McNichols, under 11 and a half receiving yards? So let's take a vote. All right, guys, which way do we go here? I went with Bill under 15 and a half carries. What do we, I got Bill. Oh, Nick, under on the McNichols. Okay, all right. Uh, Nick, what's up with McNichols? I just wanted to know before we get to your picks. What were you thinking when you took the under on McNichols instead of JCM?
Um, I don't know, just liked it better. The Bears,
Sometimes that's all it is.
they've given up the way we do explosive plays is a little bit different from the standard 15 plus, or some places do
Sure.
15 for a pass, 20 for, or 15 for a run, 20 for a pass, blah blah blah. We do ours a little differently in how we calculate expected scores. But either way, The Bears are the fourth most, allow the fourth most explosive receptions and the fourth most explosive runs. So I just feel like Washington's going to get a lot of yards in this game.
For sure. Okay, so glad for that clarification. So before we get to your picks, Nick, first up, if you want access to all of Action Pro projections, make sure to sign up for an annual subscription to Action Pro. Access includes exclusive player prop picks from Sean Kerner, other members of the Action Analytics team, along with their anytime touchdown projections. You also get access to our best spread, money line, and total bets. To sign up, visit actionnetwork.com/pro today. Use code Island20 at sign up. One more time, that's Island20 at sign up for $20 off. All right, Nick, didn't mean to catch you off guard initially with the McNichols explanation here. I just wanted to recap again. We are on Bill under 15.5 carries, pairing that with Ray McLeod over 18.5 yards. Those are the first two legs of the same game parlay. But Nick, it is your turn. And I guess a question I would ask before your picks, did either of these games fall into like a luck rankings? Like, was there any type of chance of a luck rankings side or total in either of these?
Nah, no luck for either of these in terms of sides or totals. Actually, both totals are pretty close to almost exactly neutral. And as far as the sides, Atlanta comes out a little bit unlucky, both in record and in scoring luck. But and I do like Atlanta, maybe to cover the spread, but that's not anything I'm heading towards right now.
Okay. No, and I think it's important just to know that because I know that a lot of the time when we have you on, there's always usually a luck rankings pick in here, but that's okay. There's none for these games, but there are some props that you do like. So why don't we start with that Falcons Bills game? What do you like?
Yeah, so I am going to go with Drake London to get an anytime touchdown. You can get that at plus 155 at FanDuel, I believe. If we look at 7 games with Michael Penix as the starter for Drake London, his target share has gone up versus zone, and the Bills do lean zone heavy. And his target share has remained quite high versus the too high safety, and the Bills play too high safety at a top 5 rate. So, this year especially, he's got the exact same target share per route run versus too high as single high. And last year it was only slightly lower. So Drake London, just as far as the opposing defensive scheme, isn't really going to be targeted any less. If not, he might be targeted more thanks to the fact that the Bills tend to lean towards the zone. Also, in 2 games without Darnell Mooney, he has 16 and a half targets per game in those 2 games. And both of those were with Penix as the QB. 9 receptions per game and 2 touchdowns in those 2 games. One was a 0 TD game, one was a 2 touchdown game. But you get the idea, just monstrous volume here. And the Bills allow the 5th highest target share to wide receivers, the 6th highest share of receptions to wide receivers, and the 2nd highest share of passing yards to wide receivers. So if you're throwing on the Bills, it's usually coming via way of the wide receiver.
Yeah, and Drake London anytime touchdown. I feel like all those data points are important to note, but he's such a good wide receiver that when you can get a good price on him, and especially in a game like this where there's likely going to be some passing, it's really hard to pass on Drake London here in this spot. So that's the first pick that Nick's likes is Drake London anytime touchdown. But now he has another pick that he likes for Bears Commanders. Where are you going?
Yeah, well, Cardi just gave out Corey Krosky merit under on rushing attempts, but I really like if you actually just did a Ja'Cory under attempts and over longest rush of 15 and a half or 16 and a half yards. I've seen both of those lines floating out there over the course of the day. First of all, I haven't lost an over under on a rushing or receiving yardage prop so far this year as far as longest. So let's stick with what's working. But in my doomsday worst case projection, where, I would get this as a very slight underdog to go over 16 and a half and, basically a coin flip to go over 15 and a half. But again, I'm talking like my doomsday worst case scenario. Chicago, they allowed a run over 16 and a half yards on exactly 10% of running back carries, while Bill has garnered a 17 plus yard carry twice in 38 attempts, and he's had 2 others that have gone right at 15. And one of those I'm counting from 15 yards away. He had a 15-yard run. You can't get over 16 and a half or over 17 and a half from the 15-yard line, but that was a touchdown run from the 15-yard line. So, even with these cutoffs intended to make things worst case scenario, which are cherry picked in favor of the Bears defense and in favor of Bill not having as many explosive runs, I'm still showing over. Then, I'll use even more worst case scenarios. You can take their real rates or you can fit a distribution to the yards per carry they've allowed. And for the Bears, it's using the distribution. For Bill, it's using his raw rate. The distribution would actually show him a higher rate of having explosive runs. But whenever I cherry pick the worst of those, I'm still getting over at around 67% of the time with his 15.5 yard, or I should say attempt line. Now, if you for example, use Cardi's, projection of 11.5 to 12 carries, I'm still showing that, again, that worst doomsday scenario of this basically being a coin flip. So I love the over here, 15.5 yards or 16.5 yards longest run.
I love that you purposely as well gave yourself bad splits to use to ensure that there's still a decent enough sample that this still fits the criteria. So that to me makes me even more confident in being able to see a JCM longest rush over 15.5 yards. But that's up for Derek and Nick and I to decide, or Kyle and I to decide what leg is going to be on the same game parlay. So guys, we got to vote. Are we going to take Drake London for an anytime touchdown, or are we going to take Bill to have longest rush over 15.5 yards? Let's take a vote. All right, guys, which way did we go here? I went with the touchdown. I think Drake London is going to have a big game in this. I went with Drizzy, Drake. All right, yeah. Drizzy, that's a clean sweep for Drake London touchdown. So that's going to be the third leg of the same game parlay. That is going to be paired with Bill under 14.5 rush attempts. Not to be confused with Bills. I feel like we've been saying Bill and Bills a lot lately. I just want to make sure that clarify Bill. We're meaning the running back for the Washington Commanders. And then, of course, Ray McLeod over 18.5 receiving yards. So now I've got a couple touchdown props that I like, one from each game. First one I will start with. Keep it real simple. I'm going with Josh Allen. He's at even odds right now. I think that's a great price right now. 3 rushing touchdowns this year, 12 red zone carries. Still running a lot this year, 5 carries inside the 5-yard line. One of the reasons that I went back to Josh Allen here too is 32 career games versus the NFC. He has 29 total rushing touchdowns. And when he plays indoors, it's even better splits. He has played 9 career dome games, 11 career touchdowns. So I feel like with how strong this Falcons run defense is, I'm not sure how effective James Cook is going to be when they get inside the 10-yard line. And I think after that tough loss to the Patriots, I could just see Josh Allen kind of putting this team on his back and just putting himself in that position to score at the goal line. So that is the first pick, Josh Allen for an anytime touchdown. But my other pick is for Commanders Bears. I'm looking at Rome Odunze having a breakout season, 5 touchdowns this year. He has a score in each game. He leads the team with 5 end zone targets. Commanders, they do play a little more man coverage, top 10 rate, 6 of 8 receiving touchdowns, but given up to wide receivers. Now, Odunze hasn't seen a ton of man coverage this year, but when they have nearly a 40% target share, team that kind of played a lot of man coverage when they faced him would have been the Lions, and he scored twice in that game. So Rome Odunze, I think, is a great spot here against a defense that does do a little more man coverage than most. So guys, we got to take a vote. Are we going to add Josh Allen for an anytime touchdown to round out this parlay, or are we going to take Rome Odunze anytime touchdown? So let's take a vote. All right, which way are we going? We going with Josh Allen or Rome Odunze? What do we think here, guys? Rome. No Josh Allen love. I mean, I understand that, obviously we don't really like to take quarterbacks at kind of this rate. I just think, man, he is going to have a huge game in this spot, but that's okay. We still like Rome Odunze anytime touchdown. So that is now the 4-leg same game parlay. So let's go over this. We're on Ray McLeod over on his receiving yards prop. We are taking JCM Bill under 14.5 rush attempts paired with Drake London anytime touchdown and Rome Odunze anytime touchdown. This parlay is just under 19-1, but you have to do it at Bet365 because we are including rushing attempts as one of the legs of the same game parlay. And unfortunately, a lot of those sportsbooks, they don't really like you to parlay that market, but Bet365 does. So that is where we're going to use it. It's just under 19-1. So love this parlay here that is now going to be a 2-game parlay instead of trying to just do, because I don't know if you guys remember with this crew, a couple weeks ago for Monday Night Football, we had a doubleheader. We just ended up taking all picks from Raiders Chargers. So it's all fine and well and good. All right, before we get out of here, Kyle, I haven't heard from you in a while. What do you think of this parlay here of just correlation and just how you're feeling about the odds and whether or not you think it's going to hit?
Yeah, I like it quite a bit, honestly. I genuinely really liked all of the options for all three votes. Really, I think that it was all, really tough decisions. I love the Drake London touchdown play. Anytime you get a spot with London without Darnell Mooney, I'm automatically a little bit more interested in. So I went with him. I was either interested in him or McLeod. So I was glad that Nick brought in London. I will say I love the JCM over the longest rush as well. And for those who are interested in getting little bit of that reverse correlation, going the under carries longest on the total rush that Nick mentioned, I love that play. We actually have JCM projected as the fourth most efficient running back this week on a per carry basis with the matchup considering. So I love the spot for JCM as well. So yeah, a lot of great picks tonight. So I like our chances.
Yeah, we even got like an inverse correlated parlay within the parlay if you wanted to take all 8 picks too, which is
Yeah.
pretty sweet. So, all right. Well, that's all for us. I want to thank everybody for watching Action Island for Monday Night Football. We'll be back here on the island on Thursday to kick off week 7. It's an AFC North matchup featuring the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals, and we'll build another same game parlay for that game. So, on behalf of Nick Giffen, Derek Carty, Kyle Murray, I'm Gilles Gallant. Aloha and bon chance.